So Moira is considered one of the more simpler healers, you know, it's not too hard to hit your heals, too hard to deal damage, too hard to use her abilities. She basically has a get out of jail free card, you know, and her ult isn't that complicated either, and you get it pretty fast. Very low cooldowns, nothing special, but a lot of people still don't seem to know how to play her. And then they play matches and get like 20k healing, 20k damage, and they ask themselves like, okay, why I'm not winning? I'm healing, I'm dealing damage. No, I know what I'm doing wrong. It's my team's fault, you know. It's not your team's fault. You're probably playing Moira wrong, and I'm gonna tell you how to play her better, tell you how to play her correct, and how to actually carry with her. So I assume if you watch this, you have some kind of knowledge about Moira. I'm just gonna go over briefly her abilities. Her primary fire is her healing. It's basically projectiles, and it's very easy to heal in a large area. So if your team is in a big group, you can just spray on them and they get healed. I think it's like up to 60 healing per second or something. It isn't some crazy strong, but it's a pretty good heal, and it's a limited amount of healing, so you need to do damage to do healing. I'm just gonna mention this right now. How you recharge healing is by using your damage, your secondary fire. Now, to get the maximum, if you really want to fill up the healing fast, you can just tap. A lot of people don't know this, but you can just tap instead of holding in, and you will actually get a lot more. So yeah, that's how her healing. Now her secondary fire, as I said, it's like a beam, and it kind of connects to the enemies, and you can only shoot one enemy at a time. It does 65 damage per second. And not only does it fill up your healing, it also lifesteals, so you get healed by dealing damage, which is very huge, because that makes Moira a very good 1v1 character. Her other abilities, you know, throw orb, throw healing orb, throw damage orb, I think they explain themselves really simply. Remember to throw them. I'm just going over the abilities briefly. Remember to throw them bouncing, so you get as much out of them as possible. Throw them if you're in a closed room, throw them to the walls with bounce if you want to heal or deal damage, or throw them in an angle where it will bounce and hit as many enemies as possible, or be around a specific enemy as long as possible. Now her fade, this one is like one of her most important abilities. We're going to talk about more later. Basically, you become invulnerable. Now it's good to mention that any negative effect she has also disappears, so if she's anti-healed or she's burning, she can just fade and it disappears. In the fade, you're really fast, and you can also jump really high. I think everyone knows this, but now I have gone over it if there is some, you know, totally new player. And last but not least, we have her ultimate, which basically penetrates through enemies and shields and allies. You can basically heal and deal damage at the same time, just if they line up in that big beam you basically shoot out, and you move a bit faster with this, and we're going to talk about it more, but that's how everything works. You get a big beam when doing, and it deals damage and heals. Now then, let's go through the how do we play this character? How do we play this? Because it's not really super mechanical hard to, we don't need to learn like with Genji Shurikens how to shoot or how to hit the maximum amount, what the combos to do, you know. It's not, we don't need to learn how to suck with her primary fire, right? We need to learn how to position her, because that's, and when to engage, because that's what will yield the best result here. There isn't any mechanical skills really to learn, except for jump, I would say. Learn to feel how that works, so you can get up to good heights and escape good. Other than that, let's go over the gameplay, because this is what most people get wrong, right? Most people heal, they stand behind their tank, they heal their tank, they deal damage to their tank. That's why they have 20k damage and 20k healing. And then they say like, oh, look at me, I did a lot of damage. Why am I not killing anyone? Because shooting the tank does have an effect in Overwatch too, because the tank almost never dies. How often does the tank actually die when it's in the front line, right? Because they're gonna get healed, they have all sorts of abilities that can just block everything or make them take less damage or anything, so you're never gonna get anything out of just standing and shooting, and you're basically just gambling your rank, hoping that your teammates kill someone else or that they are better at doing damage at him, and by just standing there and healing, you're basically doing the same. You're gambling, you're not taking things in your own hands, you're just hoping that, okay, pray to God that my teammates can kill these people, right? So what we want to do is take off angles. We start simple, take off angles with Moira. Okay, well, what is off angles now? Because it's very easy me to say just, okay, take off angles, guys. Okay, but you're like, what are off angles? Well, I'm gonna tell you. So off angle is any angle where the enemy has to take their eyes away from where your teams are, your teammates, and they have to look at you, and they can't look at you two at the same time. So you're just standing beside him isn't an off angle. Okay, I'll explain it like this. Say that you are the enemy team for me, right? I'm watching you, but now your Moira stands there. Now I have to watch here. Holy shit, I can't look at you both. That's an off angle. What happens then? What happens when I look at you? It's very easy to see when you're up against a runner, for example, when he suddenly needs to shield someone else. You can just shoot him, and you can use every abilities because he's not looking to dodge or anything. You're looking to block. So we want to take off angles to first of all distract, so our team can engage And with off angles, we want to target healers or squishes that can be killed and distract as many people as possible. Because let me put it like this. What happens if you, as Moira, go to an off angle, and since you have a pretty long range and you can sustain yourself and you have pretty high damage potential, what happens when you go on an off angle, shoots at the enemy Ana, right? You shoot at the enemy Ana, what happens? What can she do? What is she gonna scream? She's gonna scream in her voice comms or something, or type, please help me, the Moira is on me, because realistically she won't hit all her shots and you have pretty high burst damage before she even can kill you. She's probably not gonna kill you. Like in an ideal scenario, maybe if she had aimbot she would kill you, but otherwise you will pretty much kill her pretty fast. If not, anyone helps her, which they probably will do. And at this point she won't be able to heal her teammates because she will be looking at you. And now their other supports come now because Mercy heals some Ana. You just keep shooting. What happens then? Now suddenly two healers are focusing on you, while 3 in their team is up against tank, a DPS, another DPS, and a support. Who realistically wins that battle? That battle is favored in your team's favor, right? Now you're suddenly getting a lot of value. Imagine instead if you would just stand behind your Reinhardt shield or anything, or just heal and shoot their tank. Now suddenly you are reactive. You're waiting for something to happen. You're waiting for their team to dive you. You're waiting for your DPSs to do something. But now you're the proactive. You take a good off angle. You deal damage. And before anyone says like, oh, this doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. It does work, by the way. And look at like Awkward and shit. He's a top 500 player and it worked for me really good. This is how to actually get value out of the Moira, and you need to start dealing damage. Because okay, when I shoot this, did you notice that now they have to shift their focus, right? And a lot of people say now that okay, but you need to heal your teammates, they're gonna die. No, they're not gonna die, because if they can't heal their teammates, they can be as aggressive and do as much damage. The same thing would be if I did damage to their damage dealer. Now their damage dealer would have to look at me and shoot at me, and their healer needed to heal their damage dealer. So by getting enough attention on me, I'm technically healing my teammates by getting enough attention. So this is what we want to do. I will put in a clip here like on Hollywood for a demonstration on where you can go and how to think, where you should look for off angles. Okay, so let me show you what I mean, right? With playing this aggressive playstyle and taking off angles and shit. I'm gonna show you a very good example, very good positions you can take on Hollywood, for example. Say we're pushing here, you can go here, you can poke here, see here if you can get some, you know, we poke here, maybe there's a support or something, sucking, remember to have a cover, right? Sucking, okay. Maybe they're backing off a bit. Maybe we can go here. Here is a potential you can go flank here. A lot of people don't think about this, and you know, you have a pretty good, let's say, support often stand here, right? You can just stand here, shoot, go back. I often get a kill here, like it's a pretty good place. Or let's say they don't, or they're not holding the high ground, they backed off. You can actually go up, take the high ground. Listen here, this is one of the most broken places. Either way, you can go like here. Sometimes they will stand here and you can actually deal damage to them. Or you can deal damage here. You have a pretty good cover. And what I also like to do when you maybe see a lone support here, you can actually, when you see a lone support here, you can jump, deal damage, kill them, and now you have that here. And yeah, it's pretty easy, right? Pretty good, pretty self-explanatory. The off angles, how you can take advantage of it, how you can be aggressive. But you know, if I would be going right here, as I told you guys, what would I shoot? I would shoot their tank, right? Or in this choke, who would I be shooting? Their tank. But if I do here, I'm gonna shoot here. Oh, maybe there's damage their DPS. Now we have to shoot at me. Now the support have to heal their DPS. Now I'm being a bit annoying. You know, you could also take a really aggressive angle. You could do it like that, right? I told you not to fade in. But in some instances, you can actually fade in to get a better position. Like for example, if you know for sure there is no one right here, I mean, you could fade in here. I mean, 6 seconds, you have a health pack here, you could fade in here. There are of course exceptions to this rule that you should never fade in, but okay, an example where you never should fade in, you like never say if their team is battling here and there is one person on high ground, I don't fade in here. Right now I'm one-running a person, I have an orb, I guess, he could start shooting at me, someone could be standing there. But if I know for sure there's no one here, there's no one up here, then I could go up here, I could look, but I still gotta be careful because it could be coming here or here. So only if you know it's safe and you won't be fighting anyone in a really bad position. So for example, this right here is a really risky one, because I mean, say if they have a soldier, maybe he just runs after you. Now you could actually say, let's say for example you would meet a soldier here. Remember to like bounce your heal orbs so they stay here for a long time. and you could actually like want to like sustain him. Remember to use your you heal by doing this strafe heal. And remember, if he's low, execute him with your melee, because it's like with Winston, you use melee to execute people with low HP. So that's what we could do, and then you could fade away or go in backline here, but never ever fade in to a battle with a person. Of course there's exception, like okay, if they're running away, if we're winning the team fight, and if I fade I can get 2 kills, like if they're running away, we're chasing them, of course you can fade on. But you don't fade into enemy territory. Let's say there is one there, I fade in and I try to 1v1 it's a McCree and he just kills me. I don't fade into that. I would never do. Now sometimes you have to stand with your team. Sometimes there isn't an off angle to be taken, or your team is just tanking damage, and then it's not much you can do except for saving them. This is one thing you need to remember, is that you should heal them. If they're about to die, heal them, right? But don't stand there and pocket heal them. Try to take an off angle, try to get a kill. I get so many kills so often by just taking off angle, because maybe they aren't even speaking voice chat and no one comes to help the Ana, and I kill her every time, and then I can go with my team. Because you have to remember, you have a damage orb, a healing orb, and lifesteal, and an aimbot basically. We don't need to aim, so it's a matter of time when someone dies. It's not a matter if we hit our shots. And we have a fade. Now the fade comes in here. Now I'm gonna explain this. We never want to fade into an off angle if we are not 100% sure, or 99.9%, okay, that we can say that we are not gonna be needing it, that we are not gonna get in a battle that we can't 100% for sure win. So for example, of course you can chase heroes. If your team 1-2 are running away, you're chasing with your diva, of course you can do it, but you don't fade in to a high ground with 2 enemies on it and try to battle them out. What you do is you go to these off angles, you go to the backline, you flank. You can flank as well, like behind enemy teams, and when things get dangerous, you fade out. You don't die. You fade out to your team, or fade out to another angle where you can play more safe. We need to survive. Think about that every time you die. Okay, did I have my fade? Why didn't I have my fade? This is a really good thing, because I still make this mistake, right? Think about it. Why didn't I have my fade? Did I fade in here? Was it a good fade? I didn't have my fade so I could fade out. You have to think about those things so you remember to not make those mistakes. Now, I'll go over a bit also how to play with, how to use an ult, because it's not like, okay, I'll just use it and we push in, you know? You don't really get that much value of doing that. I would instead recommend that you throw first a damage orb onto the backline. This is the only time also when you can use fade to engage a fight, right? You fade in the backline, but behind cover, of course. You want to fade in and be able to take cover somewhere. Fade on in the backline, be aware of stuns and shit, and then you pop your ult. But as I said, be aware of like sleeps and shit, and you try to kill their supports essentially, because your ult plus your orbs, you will very easy be able to gun down someone, but they will also be able, pretty easy counter it with essentially any support ult. But they will also need to the 2 supports. If you go for 1 support, the other support will probably like 100% have to help. And since you're like totally behind and your ults penetrate like all enemies, your team are going to get healed. If you like get a right angle, you are going to damage their other teammates, and they're going to turn around and think, oh, we need to help our supports, or we need to kill this Moira that's in our backline. Your team can just rush over them, rush them over. Yeah, this is basically how you do, and you just repeat, just go in, just constantly try to poke with your orbs. Like, don't wait for the fight to begin to use your orbs. Shoot orbs constantly in the enemies and build your ult. Just constantly build your ult. Of course, if you have your ult, maybe then it isn't as necessary maybe to shoot it in spawn, but still try to do it when they're walking to the team fight, because if you can force their Ana to maybe use her nade, then you can engage her, like, because your orbs always comes up faster than hers, and you can engage her and kill her. So try to make them force cooldowns and then engage their backline. And since we have lifestyle, I'll just say this, it is pretty easy to 1v1 most characters if you just strafe and use your orbs, because since you have lifesteal, you have fade, you have everything. I will say this, I'm not gonna go into like, oh, matchup, do this against this character. This is something you more like will feel and have to learn. Like, for example, I could tell you in gold and up to like diamond, you can pretty much 1v1 any Genji, but when it comes to master, the Genjis actually start to be really good, and they jump on your face and kind of one-shots you. So it's kind of a, you have to feel that forward. Like, I can tell you every hero how it works. Just play safe, and if you get into a bad position, fade out. And you will start to notice, okay, I couldn't really 1v1 him. Could I 1v1 this character? Oh, I could. Like, you need to try. Like, even if I tell you, you're not gonna remember. It's not useful. You need to play some games and learn. Okay, this I can do. This I can do. I will end with this as well. I think like Sigma is one of, like, of course you can shoot tanks sometimes. If there isn't anything better to shoot, right? If there isn't anything better to shoot, you can shoot tank. Just remember that you do very little on armor, but like on Sigma you do pretty good damage. But still keep looking for their supports and their just squishes. Just anyone you can kill. Yeah, that's pretty much how you play Moira. Good luck. Okay, in the end here, I just want to mention that I don't have any of this like gameplay on my channel uploaded. So if you want like concrete example from my top 500 where he plays this style, I recommend the YouTuber Awkward. He's unranked to GM on Moira. I think it's like 12 hours. This is where I've learned all, and of course trying it out in matches as well. But if you want to have concrete examples and really see the gameplay, go and watch him. He's a really great player.